This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
This is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll. Welcome to DBL. I'm Tori in for Jeff. It happens to be Mr. Schroeder's birthday today. Shout out. His present is not having to be near me.
Oh.
Mazel tov.
That's our gift today.
It's our gift to you, and you'll be back tomorrow, so happy birthday, buddy. There's a new documentary coming to Netflix this week. It's called Arnold, and in it, Arnold Schwarzenegger opens up about the moment he not only told his wife, or ex-wife, Maria Shriver, about his affair, but also about fathering a child with their housekeeper. Arnold told Maria about it during a marriage counseling session in 2011. He said the therapist said to him that Maria wanted to know, flat out, if he was Joseph's father. Arnold said, quote, "I thought my heart stopped. Then I told the truth. Yes, Maria, Joseph is my son." Arnold was, of course, talking about Joseph Baena. He says the news left Maria crushed. She divorced him after that. What do we think about opening up, Arnold, about all of this and how it went down? Is it the right time and age? It is sort of the age of transparency, isn't it?
Well, it's the age of forced transparency. I mean, I think these things used to be swept under the rug in the 70s and 80s, but with 23andMe and cameras and people being able to turn their phone on and talk to the world, I think it's like, oh, we have something to tell you. So I don't know. I do give them props for discussing something that I think a lot of families are going through with things like 23andMe. Oh. I met my sister through 23andMe, you know, beautiful story. So it does happen both good and sometimes it's not so good, but it's out there either way.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially when this narrative happens, like a man cheats on his wife and then there's a child. We never really ask the guy, do we? We never hear from him. Totally. Generally, it's always about scrutinizing the woman that he had the affair with, talking about the, quote, side baby, which, let me just say,
is very offensive.
A super offensive thing to call a child. Yeah. And then we also have conversations about, you know, the fidelity in the marriage and what the wife and all of this stuff, you know.
Couldn't you be talking about Bill and Hillary right now?
It's always, it's every single example. So I think there's a time when someone has to own their own narrative. Arnold clearly is doing that right now. And honestly, I hope this is a step forward for reconciliation and these really horrible feelings that were out there about this child, for them to come together as father and son, and hopefully for there to be something that happens with the siblings as well, because we just talked about that.
That's exactly right. What's your take on all this with Arnold?
Oh, I'm excited to watch. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of the biggest movie stars of our generation. He's iconic, and let's be honest, we've seen this with not just movie stars, but people that we know. I have friends and family, like my friend, she was a secret baby, and she lived next door to where her brothers and sisters grew up, and she knew her whole life.
She knew?
Wow. Her whole life she knew.
Do you think they knew?
They didn't know until they were older. And I think, obviously, her, I don't know, it's not her stepmom, is it? Her father's wife knew, and it was very distant. And obviously, years and years later, they've made this relationship, which has been very difficult. It's been very strained. And I always feel for my friend, because obviously, like you said about the child, they have no part in this. They're just born into the middle of this. And it was interesting seeing her as an older adult navigating that and how she handled it. And it's got to be really tough, really, really tough.
It's such an interesting point you make, Steph, because you know, you're talking about this person that was a child that was in the middle of the situation she did not ask for. No. So now, because those parents, her father and the wife and her mother, didn't have a really difficult, somewhat embarrassing, tearful conversation with her, because they were too cowardice to do that, she's gonna spend most of her adult years trying to work that out.
That's abandonment issues. That's exactly
forever, because they couldn't just normalize it.
Exactly.
They could have just normalized it.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's gotta. I just feel for the kids.
It's so selfish.
You're taking
I will say this though, Joseph is, not to compare it to any of the other siblings, but I think that Joseph is like going to be a massive star.
He's like a mini Arnold.
They are little twins.
I think that there's something so special about this kid. Yeah. Even from the beginning, it was just clear there's something
in there.
Yes.
Yeah, he was on Dancing with the Stars too.
It will instill in him too the power to fight, the power to stand up for yourself. You know, he's had to like build those relationships.
Totally, great point.
Which is like fighting. It's climbing a wall.
Which Arnold did when he got out of Austria. That's so interesting. Speaking of affairs, because those are always fun, there are some reports you might have heard that Natalie Portman is fighting to save her marriage. I was so disappointed disappointed after seeing this. Her husband reportedly cheated on her with a much younger woman. So Natalie and her French husband have been married since 2012 after meeting on the set of the movie Black Swan. He was the choreographer. But a recent article in a French magazine says he had an affair with a 25-year-old climate activist. Natalie was seen smiling at a soccer game in Paris over the weekend and has not spoken publicly about the alleged affair, but there are reports that she and her husband are still together. Now, the alleged mistress is environmentalist Camille Etienne, who is 20 years younger than Natalie's husband.
Yeah,
I feel so bad.
I mean, look, we've seen enough like public infidelities, and I really don't find it to be particularly fair because we're having a conversation about a dynamic that might have been able to be resolved through the context and nuance and all the things that they know that we have no idea. But what happens in a lot of this, and I'm talking about my knowledge as a scholar of reality television.
Of course, right. Yes, Dr. Cobb, yes.
Of course. What happens in a lot of these things, right, is that a lot of these women especially will come forward and say, you know, there might have been an opportunity for reconciliation, for me to fight and save my family, for all these other things to happen. But now it's become public fodder for public consumption and debate. And that was actually what broke the unit because they couldn't get past that. So I think this is always tricky because people want to shame, we want to Scandival's a liar it. I did that for but you know, we want to shame the person who was responsible for the infidelity, not realizing that there's fallout on the other side from people who are innocent in the equation.
That's a great point. I want to get you both your takes on this. In keeping with this theme, if your coworker was having an affair, would you tell their significant other? A person asked Dear Abby this question, and she asked if she should rat on her coworker who's having an affair on his girlfriend with another coworker. Dear Abby told the woman, stay out of it. What would you do?
Absolutely stay out. It's none of my business. I'm not in their relationship. I'm not their wife, their husband, or whatever it is. I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
Stay out of it.
I don't want to be in your business.
Stay out.
I don't want to
respond. Do you agree?
I will just say this, and I just want a percentage from each of you guys. If you are the person that does say, you know what, I am going to involve myself and I'm going to tell, what is the percentage of chance that they'll get back together and then you'll be the one that they hate?
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's good. You're going to get scapegoated.
Right.
So you might as well just like, if there's going to be fallout, then there's going to be fallout without you. Right. Like, this is a position where you protect yourself, because that's what my dad said on our wedding night. He was like, listen, to me and your mom and to Anthony's parents, we aren't going to get involved in the inner workings of your relationship because y'all will be off having a baby somewhere, and we're over here still hating the other person. Yeah. So we will stay out of it.
Wow, that's a really good point. Good advice. Very fair point. All right, that's very good to know. Stay out of it, everyone. It's hard for people like me. Yes. We're yentas.
You and Kelly Schubert.
Yeah, we like to get into it.
You were born to get into it.
We were born. Hey, coming up on DBL.
Living for the drama.
That's right. Our interview with the legendary William Shatner. He's giving us a behind-the-scenes scope on his new show, Stars on Mars. And Jennifer Lawrence gets spotted breaking a big fashion rule, socks with sandals. We're talking about it next.
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point.
But I want to have a conversation about what's happening now.
Erica, I find myself biting my tongue a lot at work because people that I've worked with for 6 years every day who I know and love, everybody looks great. But then I'm like, is that appropriate to say they look great? Because BJ, who's holding the camera, I told you this morning, he looks fantastic.
I don't know
Chris,
if it's
our
appropriate,
executive
but as soon as you
producer.
said it first, I was literally like, when I walked in today, BJ, honestly, I was like, you look svelte as hell.
Yeah, it's like everybody was
we should
wonderful,
turn,
but like you don't want to.
Let's turn the camera around.
Let's
not.
Yes.
BJ,
you got the shirt tucked in. Steph, that's how you know when you know that you're in good shape, when you tuck your shirt in with a belt. That's showing you can't hide that midsection. So you're looking. Hey man, you did the work.
You are looking trim, buddy.
I love it.
Oh, good call.
We are in this era, like I think about all the time, if you're in the grocery store, like around 3 or 4 people coming back from yoga, you could do that. I'll be in line, I'm like, this 52-year-old woman's back is ripped. Like just with it, because it comes and it's just like striations. It's almost like everybody looks like
so
fitness models did in the 80s.
Okay,
now
good.
like a lot of regular folks
I'm like,
like
what
look
gym are you
like
going
that.
to? It sounds crazy.
I think it's
I
very
mean,
cute.
people been doing yoga. How long have you been doing Pilates?
There's one in bright pink. It has like
Yeah, it's like it's more of a lifestyle of fitness now.
yes.
People have their spin classes.
I'm gonna
their,
buy some.
you know, my mom was doing Zumba 20 years
You
now.
guys
Not
are
Zumba.
See, I love Pilates, and I'm glad that my mom has gotten in Pilates as well, because it's not so much like you're out to lose weight necessarily. It's to strengthen your core, because it makes everything so much easier. Like before I started doing Pilates, I couldn't touch my toes because I had 5 years of fitness competition training, like weightlifting, that I wasn't doing like proper like kinesiology, you know, things for. So Pilates is amazing. You should try.
And I think that's it too.
Like an artist.
Big shot, Rob.
Fred Astaire. Amazing, Rob. Welcome back. Jennifer Lawrence seems to have broken one of fashion's golden rules.
Dun, dun, dun.
She was spotted out last week in New York City wearing black socks with sandals.
Horror.
It worked, but is this still considered a fashion faux pas? Okay, can you do socks with
I actually think she looks fabulous.
Me
Let's just
too.
throw that out there. She's had a baby and she looks great.
Right, exactly. And also, I wear socks with flip-flops, so you even have the toe.
No, darling, what you do is you wear mismatching socks.
I
One's
know.
fluffy, one's got a hole in it. That I have a problem with.
It's true. Steph called me out. It's right. All right, I got us thinking about some other fashion rules and whether they still stand today. So take a look. Our first rule, no short skirts after a certain age.
I love that we're showing you a bit of Paco Rabanne on a Monday. Fabulous.
What do we think?
You guys are I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm
Is
gonna
this a
need
thing?
people to mind their business. After what age? Y'all don't even know how old we are.
Ow! All right, what about this one? Never wear black with brown.
I think you can wear anything with black. Anything.
You can do brown, you can do navy. Do you do that as a suit?
I would do that with like an all-black suit with like a nice kind of chocolate brown pea coat. I think that'd look dope.
Black and brown is clearly in. If you go to I have bags that are black trimmed with brown.
Right,
so
right. It's a neutral.
Together.
It's
yeah, I think it's fabulous.
Okay, we got a good one on that one. Here's another old school rule. Never mix silver with gold jewelry.
Like this really, you know what, this really grinds a lot of people's gears. I do it all the time. I do not care.
Right.
But for some, this is a real pet peeve for a lot of people. I don't care personally, but a lot of people.
My mom, though, I feel like it's a generational.
It is
My mom
generational.
cares,
Is it?
right?
Yeah.
I
Very
thought
much
about it
so.
this morning with the tie clip and the watch. I thought I had this thought this morning.
I try to keep it consistent, but also I have a lot of things that are gold
And
with silver,
Yeah.
and sometimes even like rose gold. So
I like it. Mix your metallic.
It doesn't matter.
There you go.
Mix the metallics. Okay. What about this rule? Your bag must always match your belt and or shoes.
No. I don't think this is true at all. I don't know. I think these are all really old school
These are
things.
generational, you're saying?
I think so,
Because my
yeah.
dad would match his belt with his and
I mean, I
suspenders.
do think it looks really nice.
Yes.
Right? Yeah,
Oh,
he
my
would
dad
match.
was belt, shoes, everything was laid out, and there was a rule with him. These are probably going to be considered, now we're kind of like scoffing, but I think these would be considered classic once you kind of brand it as like, that's a classic look, and but I think it's going to be considered kind of old school.
yeah, I think with black and brown, I do get weird about it.
You do.
I'm like, when it comes
belt
to the
and the
shoes,
Yeah.
and the
okay,
belt.
yeah, that I understand.
one, unless it's already crossed in the pattern
Yes,
or something.
I do agree.
Okay, so belt and shoes should match, probably, we think, kind of. Okay, does this rule still stand? Never mix patterns. I love doing that. Steph, you do that all the time.
I think it depends on who's wearing it and how it is worn. You know, some people can really. I think that depends on the person and how it's pulled off.
I got it.
I think it shows how different guys that love hoops watch basketball now, because when I look at the analysts, I'm always looking at their suits.
Totally.
And now all the TNT guys, and really the ESPN guys, they'll have like a checkered Jack blazer and then like a striped shirt and then like a pattern tie.
Right.
And that was almost considered like almost like foolish looking.
But now
it's kind of, it's a thing. So it's changed, I feel like, this year.
All right, we're evolving. And finally, our final rule. Horizontal stripes make you feel horrible. No, I'm kidding. They make you look bigger.
I think
that's true.
I do think that's true. I think it depends on your body type.
Okay, because I'm right in the middle, and when I have a stripe right in the middle, it really extends the illusion.
If you've got like an apple,
it's like, whoa.
If you've got like an apple or a pear shape, it is going to do that. There's nothing you can do.
I've never been able to pull off like because I always like those kind of the old school rugbies, but they just like when they put it on, it just doesn't.
It depends. Like if you've got a gorgeous like hourglass figure, you're going to look even more curvy and gorgeous. But if you are an apple figure, it's going to make you look more round. So it depends on the person.
Thank you so much. Stripes are out for Miss Tori. Coming up on DBL, our interview with William Shatner. He's telling us all about his new wild show, Stars on Mars.
Pride Month is a celebration of visibility, equality, and self-affirmation for the queer community each June. There are many LGBTQ+ themed events in cities across the country. Streets lined with rainbow flags and flowers galore, and of course, huge parades around the country. While onlookers may see Pride as joyous and celebratory, a viral meme claims that the first Pride was a riot against police brutality. So let's verify. Did Pride Month start as a protest? Our sources are the Library of Congress and the ACLU. On June 28, 1969, police raided the Stonewall Inn, a popular gay bar in Greenwich Village, New York. That day marked the beginning of a 6-day standoff between police and LGBTQ+ protesters known as the Stonewall Uprising. Many patrons were brutalized and 13 people were arrested. According to the Library of Congress, quote, "The Stonewall Uprising was a tipping point for the gay liberation movement in the United States," unquote. At the time, homosexuality was defined as a mental illness, and according to the ACLU, some states' sodomy laws were rewritten to target same-sex couples. Bars and restaurants could get shut down for having gay employees or serving gay patrons. The ACLU of New York says, quote, "Police raids on gay bars were common, but on that particular night, members of the city's LGBT community decided to fight back, sparking an uprising that would launch a new era of resistance and revolution," unquote. The organization describes Stonewall as a protest against the NYPD. The first Pride March in New York City was held on June 28, 1970, the one-year anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. So we can verify, yes, Pride Month did start as a protest. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
It's time to pull to go where no celebrity has gone before. Mars.
If I can walk around Atlanta, I can walk around in Mars. Try me, alien. It's the final
countdown. You will embark on a daring mission.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Welcome back. That was a clip from the new show, Stars on Mars. Earlier, we spoke to the man who runs Mission Control, Mr. William Shatner.
Please welcome back to DBL, William Shatner.
Hello, sir.
Hello, everybody.
I want to talk to you about Stars on Mars. Now, your new show sends stars to a make-believe Mars. So tell me, what is the scariest thing about this experience?
You will embark on a daring mission.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Mars.
Flying 25 hours to the outback of Australia to a place called Coober Pedy, which is quite famous actually for people who are interested in opals. Being in the outback and living inside the earth, they claw out rooms with the machinery now. They used to dig them by hand and make them look like bedrooms, you know, with a bed in it and maybe a fan. But it's inside the earth because that's the only place that's livable in the outback of Australia. And it turns out that that's where it's going to be in Mars. We're going to have to claw out caves in Mars to allow human beings to live there with any equanimity.
Wow.
That's quite the undertaking. Yes.
So you've actually been to space. So I got to know, at 92 years young, do you have a bucket list? And if you do, what's the craziest thing on it, or was that the craziest thing on it?
My bucket list is to take a deep breath in the morning and realize I'm still alive.
Hey.
What that does is you say, wow, I'm glad to be alive.
Amen.
And look around me, look at my fingers, look at my relationships, look at the sky, look at that piece of bread.
That's right. That's a man that appreciates his life. I love it.
Well said. Okay, so I got to talk about Star Trek. You can't mention Star Trek without you as Captain Kirk. But before it became a hit, a lot of actors saw science fiction as the death of their career. Why didn't you see it that way? Thank God you didn't.
Blast regulations. Mr. Spock, I order you to assume command on my personal authority as captain of the Enterprise.
Wow, that's an interesting question. That used to be the case whereby if you did a series, it took you years to come back because the producers all thought that the audience would think of you as that character. And then, as I understand it, Steve McQueen did a series. He did a Western thing. Right? But when it was done, he did a movie. I think maybe that motorcycle movie. And he became a big star. And in that instant, everything changed. And actors said, no, I got to do a series to do movies.
Well, and a lot of shift of the pop culture, too, the idea that that was the transition, so to speak. And let's talk about that in terms of pop culture, because a lot of our viewers loved you on TJ Hooker. And I read that you did a lot of your own stunts on the show. So did you ever hurt yourself doing those infamous hood slides?
All the time.
Was there ever like a stunt you turned down? Like, look, I know we need it for the scene, but I'm not crashing through that window. Was there anyone you said, I'm not doing that?
No, that would be losing face in front of the most important audience, which was the crew. There was a movie that I did where I had to stand on top of a diesel engine it was supposed to go 40 miles an hour. So the stuntman did it at 40 miles an hour, and he was leaning into the wind, so his body was like an airfoil. So his feet would come off the train, off the surface of the engine, and they shot it, a long shot. And then I said to the director, how are you going to do that in close-up? He said, well, I don't know. And I said, well, maybe I could try it. Maybe we could go at 10 miles an hour, and it would look. So he said, let's try that. So I got up on the engine, and we shot it. And I said, how did it look? He said, it looked like you were going 10 miles an hour. Well, let's try it at 20. And 20 looked like we ended up doing it at 40 miles an hour. It was an airfoil and around a curve. And when I saw the footage, when I saw the film, I thought how idiotic it was of me to attempt to do that. And looking at some of the TJ Hookers, I think, how idiotic of me. What is this macho thing that I was trying to do?
A man of your craft. DBL Nation, you can watch Stars on Mars, airing on Fox on June 5th. William, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Congrats on everything. We'll be right back.
Come back soon, man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Amazon ships more than 1 million packages each day within the U.S. For years, if you ordered items directly sold by Amazon in the U.S. and you didn't like them, you could return them for free at any approved drop-off location. But some people say Amazon is changing its return policy, now charging $1 for all returns. Verify viewer Rick asked us if that's true. So let's verify using these sources. Amazon did recently update its return policy, but that doesn't mean you're going to have to pay a $1 fee on all returns. Instead, the new policy imposes a $1 fee if you make the return at a UPS store when a different free return location, like a Whole Foods Markets or Kohl's, is closer to the delivery address. So we can verify, no, Amazon is not adding a $1 fee to all returns. So make sure to check the distance of the options closest to you. With your Verify, I'm Ariande Till.
Bees are a vital part of our ecosystem, but if you encounter a swarm of them, you'll want to know how to keep from getting stung. So our question is, if you're being attacked by a swarm of bees, should you jump into a pool of water? Our source is Nathan Chapman, museum specialist at the Schill Museum, and a 2016 article from Scientific American. Okay, so before we can answer this question, it's important to first understand the two types of bee swarms. Nathan Chapman says if you destroy or disturb a beehive, that's when you might get an aggressive bee swarm. If you notice the bees are just trying to make a new hive, you don't have to worry about them.
Aggressive swarm, get as far as possible. the other kind of swarm, like they're dividing, making new hives, remain calm and just try and stay out of the area.
According to the Scientific American, if you accidentally disturb an existing hive, you need to run immediately. If you can, try to get into an enclosed shelter like a car or run until the bees stop following you. Chapman says bees will do anything to stay near their hive.
If the beehive is really close to water, they're going to hang around that area for like very long time, several hours. Trying to get into water and like try and swim away, it'd be better to run around the pond on the outside because you're faster.
For the most part, Chapman says if you spot a swarm of bees near your home or office, they're likely just trying to build a new hive.
So leaving them alone, remaining calm, because that swarm can be there for a number of hours or up to days, depending on how long it takes for them to find a new home.
If you discover a swarm of bees have made a hive near where you live, Chapman suggests calling a local beekeeper to safely remove them from your property. So we can verify, no, if you are being chased by an angry swarm of bees, you should not jump in water to escape them. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Welcome back. Want to have whiter teeth but don't want to deal with the messy strips or sensitivity that goes with it? Well, you're in luck. The brand that brought you Power Whitening Gel has created new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power. Effective tooth whitening can be achieved at home by simply adding the Pro Whitening Gel to the toothpaste every time you brush. There's no change in your routine, there's no extra time or effort needed. And in a clinical study, users saw an improvement of up to 8 shades after using the gel for just 30 days. Smile Actives is safe, effective, and will even work on crowns, bonding, and dentures. Order today for a special buy one, get one free offer. Don't wait for your brighter, whiter smile. Call 1-800-700-4040 or visit smileactives.com today. Why are dentists such good problem solvers?
Why, Tori?
Because they're used to getting at the root of the problem.
I wish that didn't make me laugh. So dumb. It broke me down. I love you for that.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, you got it.
Jeff's back, don't worry.